Let's be honest.
I was. You know what? I liked you.
I can't believe. I am so excited to hear you land. If you put Lampard in a lesser side, does he do anything?
We can't do that because
you have to do that. It's about the players, not about the team.
You're telling me about a celebration when he was the top scorer of that competition. What's your argument with Ronaldo?
It was the greatest implosion in footballing history. I've never seen anything like it.
Right, welcome back, guys, to the Ripple Effect. I hope you guys are wonderful. Make sure you give us a 5-star rating and follow us on Spotify or wherever you are getting your podcast right this second so that you can listen every single week. I'm joined by 3 wonderful people. Faisal is here. Faisal's got a channel. There's a link to that in the description. Go check that out. ASAP. Kweku, who I'm just nagging at. Where is this channel?
No, it is.
Where is it? Where is it?
It is coming.
Well,
okay. I've got Shaw mic now, so it's coming.
Right, exciting. Yeah, he's like, that's it. Kweku's a snob when it comes to the mic. He's been after the Shaw mic. So it's on the way. So that link will soon be in the description because Kweku joins us regularly. And Kai, producer Kai, you're doing the links. You chuck a link into your Twitter in there as well. If that works, or your TikTok, whatever works. Right,
I'm around.
You're around. So, top 100 players. From GDC Media, we have no idea who they are, and I apologise, and I couldn't be bothered to look into them, but I couldn't find them, right? They put forward the top 100 players, and whilst you're in the description, there'll be a link to this as well, where you can see who is knocking about where. This was all over Twitter last week, so we thought we'd have a little look at it, and we can put forward, I said 5, but however many ripples you want to make in terms of movement or new entries or whatever it may be. What I will say, there are a lot of good names in here, and there are also one caveat is that there are some names here that are, say, quite high on the list. There's one that's from back in the day that I'm not having it, but then there's some that are from like the 40s and the 50s and things like that. And we're not going to touch on that too much because I think we want to respect our elders here, right?
Yeah.
But can we just talk about that very quickly though?
Of course we can. We can talk about whatever you want.
Why? Okay. That's let me say the player that I've got that I've got a problem with.
And Kai's on hand for stats, just to give you that nod, Kai. So be ready.
Because I did my research on this player.
Sure.
Fair play. His name is where is he?
It'd be interesting to see if this is one of mine that I feel should be nowhere near where it is.
Okay, his name is Nasazi.
Yeah.
I did my own research about this guy.
Okay.
He won the World Cup for Uruguay. Of course, that was the first ever World Cup in the 1930s. I think he won the Golden Boot as well. He spent most of his career, I think, in Uruguay.
Mm.
I think
known as the Great Marshal, I think.
Yeah. I feel like we have a problem nowadays of following nostalgia over actual players that we are seeing today. I feel like, in a way, people don't respect the players that plays today over the past 5-10 years because they're doing it in an easier era,
right.
More resources. That's players on that list. I'm looking at them. Come on, they're surely not better than the players that I'm thinking of.
All right. So right. This leads us on to where we need to kind of go here. And we've all put together our top 5. And as I say, I think there's a top 20 podcast at some point. Do you remember we had that debate about Mahrez being? Forget it.
Yeah, we did.
So first of all, I said Mahrez is one of the top 20 Premier League players of all time.
No, not a chance, mate.
For our legacy, I was leaning on.
Not a chance.
Mate. Okay, we'll argue with that another time. Right, so let's backpedal a little bit because yes, the problem we have here with the top 100 list is there is a cocktail of things that you need to kind of put into play, and then you need to put up one cocktail up against another cocktail, and they've got completely different ingredients, right? Mm-hmm. And then from there you have to decide which cocktail's best.
Yeah.
My analogies are mental today. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
But so, when you're talking about players from back in the day, as opposed to players now, how would you compare those two? Because the players back in the day would have nutrition, bad pitches. It's a different sport to a point, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But they still might have been absolutely brilliant. And players right now might be brilliant. And also, one thing I did want to put out there. And let's get a name out there first of all. So Sergio Ramos is 33rd on this list.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just because I don't like him. I don't know. But what it made me think about was that, say, like the numbers when it comes to trophies for certain teams, is it easier to dominate and therefore get a lot of those trophies now in comparison, especially say like last 15 years? There's been less different teams winning the Champions League than in terms of a pool of different teams than there was prior to that. So, for example, someone like Mario Kempes in 1978, top goal scorer, they won that World Cup. He's kind of been put in kind of solely for that, obviously further down. But someone like Ramos, does Ramos end up getting higher because he's won loads of stuff? How important is winning loads of stuff?
I'm going to bastardize a Kendrick Lamar lyric, but it's like astonishments and accomplishments, and that's what it is. The astonishments is the eye test and how it makes you feel. The accomplishments is the hardware and the honours that you've got, and you've got to add those two things together. And I think if you've not seen a player play, then you're going to lean on the accomplishments because you can't quantify how good. I can't tell you how good Diego Maradona is. As much as my dad will chat to me about how he's the greatest thing ever, I'm going to sit here and tell you that Lionel Messi is, spoiler alert, Lionel Messi number one on my list. But so you've got to really add so many different things into it. And I understand what you're saying, Faisal, in terms of are we kind of leaning on nostalgia? Are we being nostalgia merchants in terms of, that player's got that many accomplishments? We've seen that documentary about how they won the World Cup. But you do have to also respect that, because without that, we don't have this today.
100%. I'm very, very willing to. That's a lot of players there. Jarzinho, them, man. I've heard about them.
Jarzinho was another one. Jarzinho, when I looked into his club career, was fine.
That's right, yeah, exactly.
It's fine, and he was electric in the 1970 World Cup, and I think scored either in every game or certainly was a top scorer by some way in an amazing team, and he was one of the great players in that great team. So I hear that, but to be 24th on this list for me
FIFA tax
is absurd.
Yeah.
FIFA tax.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
FIFA tax, explain that to me a little bit more. I think I know what it is.
He's got an icon card on
That's
FIFA, and he's one of the better ones just because of how his stats are distributed. Right. So he's
100%. I was just about to say that, and the observation which I've made from this list, it's only the impact which they've made at the World Cup.
There we go. Or international stage, because Cruyff was
international. It's either international, either World Cup or international. But most of these, that's two Uruguayan players. The only reason why they're there.
Of the old boys that we don't.
It's
really
1950s. Jarzinho's in there because of the World Cup. That's players that you mentioned. Sergio Ramos. You mentioned his name and said, I think 33 was it? For you, is that high? Is that low?
It's too high.
That's too high.
He's ahead of Baresi.
That's what it was for me.
He's ahead of Baresi. And the thing is, when you hear about the standard bearers of defending, he's ahead of Baresi. And of course, Baresi's won less European Cups than Sergio Ramos. It's a symptom of being in that Real Madrid team that was led by Cristiano Ronaldo that won all of those Champions League. Baresi, in all aspects, if you ask anybody like who watched Baresi and watched Ramos, they'll tell you that Baresi's better.
So for me,
whoa! Don't do this. He's better at one certain aspect of the game, which is his
defending.
main responsibility. But when I look at a player, I look at four things. This is my criteria when I make a top 5, top 10, top 15. This is everyone's got different criteria.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to get to.
I've got my main 4 criteria. I've got talent and ability, what you've won, the impact of you winning, and legacy.
Okay.
That sound is Faisal moving a cup from quite far away, closer to him step by step.
That's my 4
filters.
That's my 4 filters. Sergio Ramos ticks 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I correct or incorrect? Let's debate this.
Okay. So go again. So what's the legacy for sure?
Legacy.
Yeah.
Hang on. So what? Explain legacy.
What do you mean legacy?
I think my general understanding of Sergio Ramos is a bit of a dick. Am I wrong?
That is the British.
Right.
That is the.
I think there's Liverpool fans around the world who will agree.
They don't like him.
Yeah.
Trust me. But what he's done and what he's achieved, I can argue he's low on that list.
Yeah.
If we base it on that specific outcome of that
and I think it's different for different people, and that's kind of Sergio Ramos. I think is a really good one because goals. He scored a lot of goals. Fair enough, right?
23 for Spain. in 180
I mean,
matches.
that's amazing. And obviously, like, better at penalties than Baresi, for sure. Baresi missed the 94 World Cup.
You talk about the Ronaldo Champions League, especially. I agree.
You're going to tell me that death him out. You're going to.
I agree. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
3 of the 5 4 he left.
Yeah.
4 of the Champions League. 3 of them were down to Sergio Ramos.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
La Decima, 15-16,
Yeah.
and the 17-18. It was down to Sergio
What's
Ramos.
17-18 again?
17 where we won against Liverpool in the final.
Oh, yeah.
But we weren't the best team out of.
All right, it's a different way of bringing you the Champions League. What, because he injured him?
No, so yeah, I was going to say, so my man's giving it to Ramos, not giving it to Gareth Bale, who's scored one of the best goals we've ever seen. Yeah.
Come on, you give me a final. I'm giving you the whole campaign, bro.
Okay.
I'm giving you one campaign. Come on.
Okay, so I like that. So, and I think, look, because I think what's clouding that for me is I don't like him.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. So whereas look, when you do say everything that you've said there, and I think maybe this is the QPR fan in me. I don't know. It's like the fortune to be in a good team. I know this seems bizarre, but like sometimes there is a fortune in that, and that will allow. I always want to give credit more to the players that drag someone.
This is why me and you have a fallout about Harry Kane because I hold Harry Kane accountable for his failings or shortcomings in major finals.
Right? Yeah, we had this.
And I look at this list, and the one that I want to just shout out was Frank Lampard being below Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard gets a lot of credit for playing for a poor Liverpool team. I've said this multiple times already in these podcasts. It's about how you navigate your career off the pitch. We credit Gerrard for staying at Liverpool and not winning all those trophies. Steven Gerrard's career as well is defined by 2 major moments. Defined by Istanbul and is defined by the 2006 FA Cup final. Mm-hmm. Without those moments, what are we really talking about? We as people who've watched the game can appreciate how good he was, but we're not talking about him within the pantheon of greats. Whereas Frank Lampard, because he played for Chelsea and he had better players around him, is kind of like is discredited as being a top player. And I feel like
I disagree with that.
You don't think so?
No, because
I don't think Gerrard should be ahead of Lampard, personally.
I think Gerrard should be above Lampard.
Based on what?
I think he's a better player, and I think he did more astonishing things. I think Lampard, his accomplishments, I think at times, there's a problem here with certain achievements that come, let's say Lampard, the scoring of the goals, the getting the best out of himself, all of that stuff. For me, if you put Lampard in a lesser side, does he do anything?
We can't do that because
you have to do that.
We can't.
It's about the player. It's not about the team.
We can't.
It's not about the team.
Okay. So let's discredit Luka Modric because he should have stayed at Spurs his whole career and struggled.
No,
and he
that's a great example. Luka Modric for Croatia.
Yeah,
has allowed them through brilliance.
I've done myself
to
in there.
to drag.
Maybe KDB. That's the right one.
Because for me, what I'm coming back to is, the Modric thing. You fill in the gaps yourself. Like, it's dragged Croatia to finals. A final that actually, if you look at that game, they were kind of unfortunate to sort of game could have gone very differently. For me, the things that I'm looking at here is who's moved the game forwards, who was peerless, and then brilliance and talent. When it comes to and then maybe one last one. Hang on. Substance, I think, matters too, and that substance can come through achievements. But there is for me a Gerrard Champions League win for what he did against Olympiacos, against all the teams along the way, in a team that had Traore in it, is more impactful for me than Ramos's Champions League wins when he's got a team littered with some of the greatest players of all time.
But I can then throw the argument, as you mentioned, who has taken the game further or changed the sport. I can make an argument that Ramos has changed the way defending is. Yeah.
And then
can you?
I can.
Go on.
Before, in the past, defending was perceived as one thing. Defend. Right? Now we see more ball-playing defenders and actually goal-scoring defenders, in a way. Corners, set pieces. Before Ramos, who can we honestly say ball-playing at a high level, scoring at a high level, press-resistant, final third? Who did we say that about centre-back?
Ronald Koeman.
Okay.
I hear what you're saying. I totally hear what you're
But
saying.
then again,
Basically centre midfield.
But then again, yeah,
I was
Yeah,
just he's a
basically
Lamiro.
centre
He's a Lamiro. It's very different.
you can say about Kerman or Mateus, who was a bit defensive.
Yeah, he came back there. He was a box to box midfielder.
He was there. Kerman was, yeah. But I would say Ramos changed the way defending is. Now everyone we're seeing is.
I think I'm definitely not the person to have this debate with because I can't. I think there's an emotive element. I don't like his ego.
But
That's my problem with Rams because you're right. Everything that steps into that. But let's say like the penalties, if he's not got the sort of ego that he has, he won't take the penalties. Someone else will take the penalties, but he's like, I should be taking the penalties.
Because he says he's got the soul of a striker. I respect it.
Maybe.
Also, there's something about the weight of expectation. There's something about being expected to win the Champions League every year, being expected to perform at the highest level every year. Steven Gerrard, I'm sorry to go back to it, was not expected to win. He was not expected to win. And like when you're expected,
And he did.
a couple of times. Sergio Ramos, every single year, Real Madrid expected to win the Champions League. And more times than not, they won the Champions League. Every single year, I think if you're expected to perform, and that's the reason why the Messi World Cup was so special, it's like, we are all here to see one thing. We are all here to see one thing. And so for you to be able to live up to that and to deliver that, I think deserves a lot of credit. And so those players who play for lesser sides, not lesser sides, play for sides that maybe aren't as heralded, I respect it, obviously. But to do it at the highest level is what we all strive and achieve and want to watch.
But I think you've been very harsh and critical towards Steven Gerrard.
Yeah.
You've been very harsh because who's a better player? Okay, forget what they've won, what they've scored. Who's is the better player?
What? Steven
Gerrard or
Frank
Lampard?
I think we need to have a conversation here that gets away from Gerrard and Lampard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, the reason I say this, so what's fascinating here, right? So Lampard's 83, Gerrard's 82, Scholes is 67.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
I don't want to be too harsh here. Nostalgia merchants. These are people. These are people that when Paul Scholes was playing, when he was actually playing, they weren't saying this. And then because they've seen interviews with Zidane talking about Paul Scholes, because they've seen interviews with Xavi talking about Paul Scholes, everyone's like, oh, Paul Scholes. When he was actually playing, he was an incredible player, but people weren't saying that. So I want people to be true to themselves. Talk about what you actually felt and what you actually saw when you saw him play, because you can go back retroactively and talk about how great he was, but football's about how you made you feel. And I'm not saying Paul Scholes didn't make people feel stuff. Man United fans, for sure. But the wider world of football only appreciated Paul Scholes after he stopped playing.
Later on in Paul Scholes' career is when I really, really enjoyed it because he essentially turned into a bit of more of a sort of Pirlo kind of player. He was just running it, tick, 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 ticking away. And I love Paul Scholes, right? And the passing of Paul Scholes and all that stuff's amazing. But when it comes to that debate, and again, I've just made it worse, haven't I? Because I'm just adding another team in there. But like, I don't know. What do you think about this angle on it? Is 11 of because it's 11 of Gerrard, 11 of Lampard, 11 of Scholes.
11 of Gerrard run that all like without.
I think that's where I keep coming back to. But you could suggest that Lampard beats Scholes, right?
Yeah, 11.
But maybe that's not totally what it's all about because Scholes was about vision, right?
But then
So
also Scholes
it's
did different things at different points in his career. Early in his career at Manchester United, he scored goals. He made those late runs to the box. Later in his career, I think people appreciated Paul Scholes more when tiki-taka came about, and people appreciated the more cerebral side of the game.
Yeah, he was in the wrong era.
Wrong era, wrong
Yeah,
generation. But people
agree.
start to appreciate it more when
So
Pep plays football.
so I do want to get back to David Beckham at one point, but let's skip to number 6 on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Xavi.
Yes.
Who is and again, if maybe we kind of keep players aligned a little bit. So we've got Paul Scholes in 67th.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Pirlo in 47th.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Xavi in 6th, and Busquets is not on this list.
That's mad.
That's crazy.
That's mad.
That's just crazy. I did not even know that. The fact that
I messaged you. I mean, I've had a look at it a few times. I'm pretty sure he's not there.
I had two players that came. Why not? But Busquets not being on the list.
I
is
didn't clock
this,
Busquets
yeah,
wasn't on
that's
the list either.
disgusting.
So here's a ripple from me. Busquets needs to be on that fucking list.
100%. 100%.
So when we've got those guys there, Scholes, Pirlo, and Xavi, are you happy with where Scholes is? Are you happy with where Pirlo is? And are you happy where Xavi is?
Xavi's a smidge higher for me. A smidge higher.
I agree.
Not Smith. A bit too.
Chunk?
Yeah, a bit chunk too high. For me.
Yeah.
Oh no! I'd put him higher. So I just
You've got him in the top 5 players of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, I have, and I had this. No, I have.
No, you haven't.
I have because let's be honest. Let's be honest.
You know what? I liked you.
I can't believe. I am so excited to hear you land. Go for
Do you know what? As a person who used to go and watch Chelsea home and away, used to go and travel and go and watch Chelsea play against Barcelona and watch from afar that Spain team that dominated football. I can safely say that that's the best football I have ever seen. And the fulcrum, the metronome, the person that made that all happen was Xavi Hernandez. The best football that I think we've all in our lifetime ever seen was as a result of this man. This man is the best centre midfielder of all time, in my humble opinion.
Wow.
And I think for that reason, because centre midfield, as you know, Jim, as you play centre midfield, is the hardest position to play in football. He was the best at it, playing for the best teams, making them the best teams. I think he's the top 5 footballer of all time.
Okay. Do you want to rebuttal now, or I've got a question as well.
I've got questions. You know,
Okay, so take out, forget time, right?
Yeah.
Forget time for a second. Everyone stop. Everyone forget what you're doing. Right. Same Barcelona team. Take out Xavi. You put in Scholes or Pirlo. Is that team just as good?
Okay. Bias, no. You know what? I'm gonna answer that question. Unbiased, no. I don't think that team will be as good without Xavi. You make some good points about Xavi, yeah? I'm not denying Xavi's greatness. Xavi's a wonderful player, very crucial, X, Y, and Z. However, I can make a very good argument that if you take Iniesta out from that team, Barcelona will not be as good if you take Xavi out from that, compared to if you take Xavi out of that team. Iniesta, for me, was the focal point. Xavi did everything back 2008, 2012, but Iniesta was much more vital in certain moments than Xavi, in my opinion.
Yeah, go on.
No, go.
I was going to say, in terms of, the final third, and we saw Iniesta score some vital goals playing out wide occasion, especially for Spain. But in terms of the heartbeat, in terms of what made that Spain team tick, was the fact they had 80% possession. The fact that nobody could get the ball off of them. And the reason for that was Xavi. The reason why people are obsessed with this style of football is not only because of Pep Guardiola, it's because Xavi made that happen. The reason why Billy Gilmore can now play for Brighton in the midfield and play in the Premier League, where maybe 15, 20 years ago people looked at him and said he's not physical enough, is because of Xavi. Xavi changed the definition of a centre midfielder. Centre midfielders don't need to be able to go box to box. Centre midfielders need to be able to... What do we talk about all the time? Scanning. Nobody scanned better than Xavi. Nobody passed better than Xavi.
But that came down to Pep, though. That came down to Pep. Xavi. It's not like Xavi was promoted the moment Pep got there. Xavi was playing since the age of 2002, 2001.
Yeah.
He was there with Frank Rijkaard. He was there. He wasn't doing that at that time. Pep developed him into that person.
For sure.
Iniesta was there. Xavi was very fortunate. You mentioned that Spanish team, but come on, broski. Xabi Alonso, Sergio Busquets, Fabregas, David Silva, Iniesta. Come on, it helps having talents around you.
Yeah.
Top 5 of all time.
Yeah, but I guarantee you, if you go to all the other your guys' top 5s, and you look at the teams that they played in, they also played with some incredible players too.
Yeah, I hear that. So, are you putting because you got Xavi, Busquets, Iniesta. I think Xavi and Busquets is tight. Xavi, a bit more wanted to get forward a little bit more, scored more goals, right? Iniesta is 20th on this list. He's beneath. This is going really well as well because you can just bounce from players. He's one under Modric.
Yeah. What it should be
is sorry. If to just finish off the Xavi thing, I mean I disagree with you at top 5 because I think it's just like the system of Pep means that the sort of greatness could have still been there. I think overall I would still go with Xavi because he was, it's in his DNA, right? And so probably he would have done things quicker. And Pirlo likes a longer pass, Scholes likes a longer pass, whatever. But for me, of that, like Iniesta, Xavi, Busquets, the one that feels the most replaceable is Xavi for me.
I can't. I actually can't. It's so funny because when you sent me the list in terms of what we're doing, I've had this conversation with my mate before, and he was arguing that Iniesta is way more important, and somebody wrongly argued that Rodri is Busquets, Iniesta, and Xavi combined. But
I heard that. That was disgusting.
That's just insane.
Say that again, sorry.
Rodri is Xavi, Iniesta and Busquets combined. And it's not worth having that conversation.
Okay, yeah.
But Xavi is irreplaceable.
So, okay, let me move a word about it. Importance and then brilliance, which I was coming back to. Who's a more brilliant player, Iniesta or Xavi?
Iniesta's more brilliant.
That's why when you're saying him there, I'm like,
yeah. I think importance is.
It's great for the teas at the front.
Yeah.
First 30 seconds going to be hot.
I do just think that importance is, and the rest of the players in the top 5 are astonishing and they do get you off your seat. But I do think importance and the way the game developed as a result of that Barcelona team and the most important player of that team, barring Messi, was Xavi.
Okay. Modric, Iniesta, Ronaldinho, 19, 20, 21. Is that the correct order?
Say it again.
Modric 19th,
Yeah.
20th, Iniesta, Ronaldinho 21st.
Yeah. I think sometimes I'm guilty of this because Ronaldinho was my childhood, maybe elevating him higher than he should be. His peak was only 3 years. He was incredible for those 3 years and preceded the Messi and Ronaldo era. That's why I think he gets viewed so highly and so favourably. But around 20th is where he should be in terms of an all-time list for great players.
Okay, let's. We're gonna have to go a bit of a quick fire here because I just realised.
I think one person should be higher than him, though.
we're done.
Who?
What out of those 3?
No. One person who's not on that should be higher.
Let's start ticking some off. We've got 7 minutes, I think, before we have to go. And I also want to get people's top 5. Sorry, we get the studio for a certain amount of time, so that's what we're doing here. So, by the way, just for the record, I really struggle with Modric and Iniesta and how to separate them. I think the fact that Modric is with us right now, I lean towards Modric. Ronaldinho 21st. I'm okay with that order. So too high. Who else do you want to put forward as too high? Go through your list, Faisal.
Okay, I've got a lot, but I'm gonna make it very simple. I'm gonna say 3 players that's way too high. One of them is I think both of Hazard and Di Maria. The fact that he's 17 should be a disgrace.
Di Maria's that's the worst. That's the worst shout
shocker.
of the entire list. Isn't
Worst. Xavi was one of them.
Is he top 100?
Di
Maria?
and Cole?
Not for me.
No.
Not for me.
No.
Again, it's like he scored in the World Cup final. Fine.
Copa
He's a
America.
great example of he's been in great teams
Yeah.
with other great players. I'm not sure he's that great.
I think Van Dijk being as high as he is, for me, I've got a problem with that. And
Shouldn't be on this list.
Why have you got a problem with that? Because that's was something I was trying to work through myself.
okay, why do we have him there when we can? We spoke about Sergio Ramos, but Van Dijk's had. The reason why he's there is because of 2 seasons.
Yeah. So I said. So coming back to my criteria, brilliance, absolutely. Longevity,
No.
not really.
If John Terry and Rio Ferdinand on this list, Van Dijk shouldn't be on this list.
Yeah.
I think that's
But
fair.
one person should be 3 players. I've got very quickly. Salah should be on the list to start
Yeah,
with.
that is wild, isn't
To
it?
start-
How is Salah on
To
this?
start off with, Neymar.
Whereabouts? Where are you putting him? Like top 50 or bottom 50?
Top 50.
Top 50?
Top 50. Neymar should be in that list, and he should be. He should
He
be.
is. He's
44.
44.
No, sorry. He should be.
Off it.
He should. No, he should be top.
Sorry.
He should be top 20.
Top
Wait,
20,
not
Higher
Neymar.
than Ronaldinho.
Neymar should be top 20.
Right, that's your one then. That's
No
utter nonsense.
way.
Neymar should
Where
be
are you
top,
getting that from?
Neymar should be
That's
top
an
20.
SDS. You've said it previously, and now you're trying to stick with it. Where's Neymar top 20 players of all time?
I'm.
Why?
The reason why I'm saying is Dino is 21. Neymar should be above Ronaldinho.
I've had this conversation so many times. And we're running out of time. I can't with that. I can't with that mindset. I can't with anybody that says Neymar's above Ronaldinho in any sort of list ever. Never. No.
No, I agree.
Are you crazy? you haven't had that chat with me though.
Me, you have that chat. Me, you
You're
have that
leaning
chat.
on. You're leaning on statistics there for Neymar.
Somebody
Oh, let's not disrespect
no.
it.
Somebody
Let's
showed
not-
me a list of Neymar. I was about to surpass somebody on the list of all-time assists. On that list, I saw Landon Donovan, and I said, "Please don't bring that argument to me." I said, "Please don't bring that argument to me anymore." I'm
still
not
miss him.
I'm not
Right.
doing it.
I know it's going to kill Kai if we don't talk about it. Bale, 69th. Go on, Kai. Off you go. What are you saying?
I would walk over broken glass, a mile of broken glass to kiss his foot.
Left foot, not his right foot.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Right.
After the game, preferably. The moments that he's given me and my mates have allowed us to dream and become like rub shoulders with like football nations that like have achieved amazing things. When in August 2011, Wales were 117th in the world.
117th. Karen.
October 2015, we were 8th in the world.
He's spitting.
Gareth Bale in that time, 27 games, 16 goals,
Jeez.
7 assists.
Assist. Mate, I hear that.
Bale should be above Hazard. And I'm a Chelsea fan that I love Eden Hazard, but Bale should be above Hazard.
Look a little bit higher. Bale should be above Hazard. Let's go through. Scholes, he should he should be above in terms of brilliance.
Giggs or nah?
Yes.
Giggs shouldn't be on the list. Genuinely.
Easy.
Interesting.
Do you know what gets forgotten? Giggs 92 to 95 was frightening.
Was a top player.
Frightening.
Yeah, but I agree.
I put him above. I think he definitely goes above Del Piero for me. Paolo Rossi was a good goal scorer, but had a great World Cup. Yeah, Bale could be a lot higher. I've spoken about this before. In terms of a watermark, Bale, whilst he was in the Prem, the sort of last 2 seasons was a joke.
Go and watch that 12-13 season.
Bro,
the goals from that season are stupid for Spurs.
It's crazy.
And obviously, what he's won for Real Madrid, goals in Champions League finals.
League, 14.
You're hyping me now.
14, 17, 18. The penalty shootout and the 15, 16. Exceptional.
Yeah.
Luis Suarez should be high in my opinion as well.
Interesting.
Wayne Rooney should be on this list.
Yeah.
Wayne Rooney's not on this list.
So, okay.
It's not on the list.
Wayne Rooney's not on the
Name's
list.
not on the list that I've got that I thought were an option. Shearer. Where's Shearer? Where's Shearer?
To be fair, like if you put the likes of Vieira and Del Piero and then I would say all-time Premier League goal scorer. I hear it.
Prem top 3, right?
I hear
Most
it.
people's top 3.
What?
He's
top three
Premier League top 3 players of all time.
Players.
If Benzema's
Not players.
Shearer,
Players.
top 3,
Strikers.
Wait.
I'll have the conversation.
all-round complete forwards, right?
Yeah.
Wait,
No?
well, you said Benzema what?
If
Benzema should be
Benzema's there, Shearer should be there.
Shearer has to be in there. Shearer has. You guys don't know. You're younger. I hear
And I've
you.
got no bias here. I'm Welsh. I don't care.
Basil's done it. I need that clip as well. That's the Mourinho. Take the headphones off.
Shearer cannot chat to Karim Benzema.
Did you just say if Karim Benzema
The sheer
there,
volume
Shearer
of
should be there?
goals. Benzema's getting like 10 a season at one point.
That's true. That's true.
No,
And Benzema's never done it for
People
Blackburn.
don't know how good Shearer was. People don't understand how
Shearer
good
can't
Shearer
chat.
was.
If
People
Shearer
don't-
tried to carry Madrid
Blackburn
that 2
Shearer.
seasons ago,
Blackburn Shearer is a
group stage,
joke.
bro.
People don't know. 30 in a mid-table team apart from one season. Guy's a joke. And then Newcastle were crap. Apart from one season, he was still banging in goals. And he's not even on this list. Anyway.
Come on.
Also not on there. Also not in this 100. Unless I've got this wrong. And forgive me if I have. Roberto Baggio.
Oh yes,
Yeah, it's not, I don't think so.
but he's known. But his hindrance in his career is the penalty he missed.
Yeah. If
Baresi missed a penalty in the same penalty shootout.
yeah,
He's 35th.
yeah, but because
But
all the
but
attention.
it's the last one. That's the
Yeah,
last
the
one.
last, and because all the attention was on him for that '94 World Cup. If he scores that and they win it, he's probably top 15,
Yeah,
top 20.
easy.
But like
Yeah.
that was a watermark or watershed moment in his career, and he unfortunately missed it.
There's no Seedorf.
Ooh.
I think we say that everyone points to the accomplishments, but I think again, if people are honest with themselves and when they watch teams play, I don't think no one was watching out for Seedorf.
Yeah, where's the astonishment? Maybe not.
I feel like Dani Alves should be higher.
Yep.
I feel like his outside of football is killing him. And one person that shouldn't be on the list, okay, it's a bit harsh, but I think shouldn't be on the list is Vidal.
I was going to say Vidal.
Why the hell is he on that list?
Yeah.
80th as well.
Why is he on that list?
One last one. I'm okay with it, but I just thought of it just because people talk about him being one of the greatest left backs of all time. Ashley Cole.
Yeah.
It's maybe more a compliment. I don't know. The last name I have to talk about before you give our fives. Diego Forlan, 46th.
Way too high.
Are you not going to mention Wayne Rooney? No.
Sorry, I thought we had. We had touched on it.
I think that's
It's
sacrilege.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
mad.
that is Forlan's on the list and Rooney's not.
Yeah,
What are we
it's-
talking
Van
about?
Persie's not there
What are
either.
we talking
Yeah.
about? Can we do our top fives real quick?
Yeah, totally. But yeah, Diego Forlan. That alongside Angel Di Maria are the worst two shouts for me.
Terrible.
Don't get it. Dino Zoff kind of got in there because he's a 40-year-old winning the World Cup, and you try and chuck in another goalkeeper. I don't really get it either.
Even Griezmann shouldn't be as high as he is right now.
Yeah. Right, top fives. Quecky, come on.
Okay. Top five. So
You've still got time to change.
no.
Pip.
Javi fifth place. I'm actually very confident about that one.
Okay.
Cristiano Ronaldo. in 4 for me.
I don't know.
You will not believe this. You will not believe this. Before the World Cup, I was a Ronaldo over Messi guy.
Were you?
I was a Ronaldo over Messi guy.
Yeah, me too,
I was a Ronaldo over Messi guy. You cannot deny that if in a 3-month span you do an interview with Piers Morgan, you fall out of your national team, you get benched. The person who comes in for you scores a hattie.
Are you serious?
You try and claim a goal that's not your goal, and you walk down the tunnel you're crying, and then your career rival ends up winning the World Cup. That changed perception. If Ronaldo wins that World Cup, he might be the GOAT.
Wait. You're letting 3 months.
100%.
Ronaldo's 20 years career.
It was the great.
Your ranking.
It was the greatest implosion in footballing history. I have never seen anything like it.
Jot that title down, Kai. That is a video.
Honestly, I've never seen anything like it. Anyway, CR7 number 4, Pele number 3. Never saw him play, but you got to respect the accomplishments. Maradona number 2. My dad would kill me if I didn't put him in top 2, and then Leo number 1.
That's disgusting.
What do you mean?
That is one of the worst.
That's it. You can finish this off because I think you might need the floor. Let me do my 5. Here we go. 5th. Zinedine Zidane.
Yes.
Okay, we all right with that? Okay.
Zizou.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a joke. 4th, Ronaldo. I'm going 4th.
Cristiano.
Yeah, man.
What are we doing here?
For someone that good looking, he's ugly.
Yeah,
it's ugly.
It stinks.
What are we doing here?
I just don't like it.
No. You know what? This is
3rd. You can talk in a minute. 3rd Pele. You know, for the bulk of my life, he was by far and away kind of it was him 1, Maradona 2. As I've dived into it more and more and more, I have to have Diego Maradona as ahead of him. Again, because for me, I think that ability to make others great or to take players somewhere and it to feel good, I think Diego Maradona did that for everyone he played for, pretty much, apart from Barcelona, I guess. And Lionel Messi, number 1. It's no even a conversation.
Yeah. So we've got similar top 5, apart from number 5.
Apart from 5.
And I could put it down there.
This is horror.
Off you go.
Go on.
Zizou 5th.
Yep.
Okay.
The only reason why I've got 4th and 3rd is because of history and what my dad tells me, and it's an obligation in a way. Pele 4th, Maradona 3rd. Anyone, and this is me being very respectful to, I love both of you guys. Anyone who has Cristiano Ronaldo outside of that top 2, they like to be different, and they just hate that person. If there is no argument that you can throw at me for you to have Ronaldo outside of the top 2, your argument said 3 months, broski. That is disgusting, and that's not even to do with football itself. If you take Ronaldo's career seriously over the past 12 months, then you shouldn't speak about football.
Let me ask one question. Go. Is it what's more important, what you do or how you do it?
What do you mean?
What's more important, what you do or how you do it?
And what he hasn't done both of them. And what you just said, how he did it, and
it's how he's done it.
What do you mean how he's done it?
How he's done it is La Decima. 13-14, he scores the 4th goal and takes his top off. Bro, I loved him then as well. But when I look back at it in the cold light of day, I'm just like, it kind of stinks to me. All of it just kind of stinks.
Okay, you mentioned a celebration. He scored the 4th goal. What about the semi-final? Bayern Munich. Who carried us? Yeah. Who was the top scorer for that campaign? Yeah. Cristiano Ronaldo with 14, 15 goals?
Yeah.
Who, the group stages? Why do we love pinpointing a moment of his career to, you know what we're doing here? You know what we're doing? We are this is how football is nowadays. We love to disregard someone's ability and talent and compliments just to highlight a bit of their flaws. That's what we're doing. You're telling me about a celebration when he was the top scorer of that competition. What's your argument with Ronaldo?
I think you're right in the fact that this isn't the list. This is my list, right? And in my list, Cristiano Ronaldo has to be in the 5 because he's outrageous. He's been outrageous. He's got every last drop out of his professionalism. That professionalism is driven by one thing, his ego, right? Whereas Maradona, Lionel Messi, Pele, it's a different feeling. And so for my 5, I don't want him in the top 2.
And exactly, he just
But
basically.
numbers, if you want to go on numbers, then fine. But Mario Jardel makes it into the top 5 then.
It's not numbers about Ronaldo, though. It's not.
It's numbers. It's all numbers.
Let's not do this. You're
No,
just falling for the perception for the past couple of seasons.
Faisal, I can't explain to you. I wish I knew you before the World Cup happened. I was the biggest Ronaldo guy, and I was blinded by love. I was blinded by lust. I love that guy so much, man. He was my favourite non-Chelsea player ever, bro. When you look at it in the cold light of day, what he did at Real Madrid, I think when they were both in Spain, when they're both playing football in Spain, I think Ronaldo maybe outshone Messi in terms of what he won and what he did. But if you look at the whole career, the entirety of the career, I don't think Ronaldo can be put above Diego Maradona, who won Napoli's first 2 ever Serie A titles in an era where Italy was the best league in the world, and won World Cup in 1986. I just don't think Ronaldo can go above Pele, who won 3 World Cups, who was the definition of football for anybody who was a football fan or not a football fan for decades and decades and decades. Ronaldo being fourth on the list is not a slight on Ronaldo. I get you're a Real Madrid type fan.
It's not even a Madrid. It's not even. It's just the love of the game. Like I said earlier, if you don't have Ronaldo in the top 2, you're just trying to be different.
No,
you're trying to be edgy, and you just don't like the guy. Your arguments you're throwing me. You don't like the person.
But that's part of it. That has to be a part of it.
Exactly.
What you're correct in exactly what you're saying, but that doesn't mean it's not valid. If that should mean something to you, how people go about what they do.
It just comes down to the persona of the person. But if you study the game, Ronaldo
Don't do that.
No. I wouldn't do that. Because I know how you are with that. I know how you are with that. If you study the game and if you're a lover of the game, you shouldn't have Ronaldo outside the top 2.
I think what I will give you is that this is us not putting. If we want to be clinical, yeah, top 2. Okay. If we want to be clinical, but if you want to have, like, why do we love the sport? If you want that bit of it, the soul of it, then I can pop him down 1.
And what Ronaldo doesn't tick that box. Like I said, people, they look at Ronaldo and they only look at 3 years in the last 3 years of his career, and they think that's what Ronaldo's been over the past 20 years. They forget what he was at United. That young teenager. Most dribbles. People forget that. As early Madrid stint, people forget that. What he did with Portugal, what he did with Madrid. People, they love, like I said, they love to highlight a bit of flaws of his career. The World Cup, the Piers Morgan nonsense, this and that. This is what Ronaldo's career is.
Do you know what? It really summed up for me. When Argentina won the World Cup and Martinez was the hero of the penalty shootout, who do they all run to? Lionel Messi. If the same thing was to happen to Portugal, I just don't think Cristiano Ronaldo gives his teammates, fans, anybody the same feeling. And football's about feeling. Football's about feeling.
And you've just ticked my box. Your hatred for Ronaldo is not even football related.
I loved it.
No. It's not even football related. It's just persona related.
But you're just being about numbers. You are.
How is it numbers?
Because you're saying what we're saying isn't valid. And the reason you're saying what we're saying isn't valid is because we're putting in something that isn't about the numbers. Whereas as I said to you, I agree with you. If it's about being clinical and being about numbers, Ronaldo is second, of course. But it's my list, and it's not all about that. And that's what I'm saying.
And numbers, he doesn't even go second.
So meet me there.
Numbers, Pele goes there.
Meet me there. Do you hear what I'm saying? Can you not hear what I'm saying?
I'll be real.
Hear what I'm saying.
No, I'll be real. I can't look at a person and take their opinion seriously if they really have their persona driven and impacting the decision for them to actually push Ronaldo outside the top 2. You can't look at this sport, and you've watched this sport for a long time. I've watched it, you've watched it, and we can't just say Cristiano Ronaldo is not the second. I've got Messi first. I'm a Madrid fan. I hated Messi. But I had to appreciate what his greatness and what he's done. But you guys, I'm not taking what your reasoning is crazy. Your reasoning is stupid. Your reasoning is stupid, man. I've had enough.
Okay, we have to call it a day anyway. Mate, it's all love. Faisal, absolute hero. Go check out all his stuff. Links in the description for absolutely everyone here. Kweku, thank you, mate. Well done. Great stuff. Kai, thank you very much as well. Of course, you can watch what you've just listened to if you're on a different platform on Spotify exclusively. Give us a 5-star rating and have a great day. Cheers.
Amazing. That's a good one.
I've got Ronaldo second as well.
You know, boo.
We have the same initials. I have to.